Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Honorable Secretary General, it is a great privilege for me to welcome you to this National Flood Response Coordination Center set up by the Prime Minister. I am the Deputy Chairman. I represent the Prime Minister. We do daily operational details here by looking at the situation of the flood and relief operations. I would first like to acknowledge that your message to the world community before coming here has really made and left a big impression with the people of Pakistan. Your words like the world must wake up from the sleepwalk and it is monsoon on a steroid have almost become common phrases which people are referring to from your message. You have been associated with Pakistan when Pakistan was battling Afghan conflict and influx of Afghan refugees. Today, as Secretary General, you come to us when we are battling climate refugees. There are millions of people who have become displaced because of the climate disaster that has hit Pakistan. We faced super floods in 2010, but 20 million people were affected in 2010 with the super floods. But this climate disaster that has hit us has affected more than 33 million people. So the scale is so big that, as you also mentioned, that any country in the world, if was hit with this disaster, it would be impossible for that country to face the consequences. We are facing 4 challenges. One, that these floods, with the flash floods and the hill torrents and the heavy rains, which largely took place in those areas which historically have never had even moderate rains. So those regions did not have the infrastructure to deal with such heavy downpour. So there is a huge infrastructure loss to all the areas in terms of roads, rails, power transmission lines, gas transmission lines, irrigation system, schools, hospitals, water and sanitation, dams. There is a big damage to the infrastructure for which a joint damage and need assessment study has begun with the help of World Bank, Asian Development Bank and UN, and their experts are working with our Ministry of Planning and Development, which is coordinating this study. And we hope to have some initial estimates ready before the Prime Minister leaves for the UN General Assembly. And the detailed study, we hope, would also be ready with us in 4 to 6 weeks. The second important challenge, Mr. Secretary General, we face is the loss of livelihoods. All of these people have lost their livelihoods. They have seen their crops being destroyed before their eyes. They have seen their sheep, their goats, their livestock being swept away by the ferocious currents of these flash floods that hit them. Their orchards have been destroyed. So their lifelong savings have gone. And also, these farming communities store the grain for their whole year as a safety net. Though that grain has been lost, their seeds for the next harvest have been swept away by the water. So they are virtually standing empty today, and we have a big challenge to put them back to life. And these are not a few hundred or thousand, about 33 million people. Majority of them will require new livelihoods. Then, Mr. Secretary General, Pakistan faces 2 more challenges: deceleration of the growth as a result of this enormous calamity. We are expecting plus minus 3% drop in our GDP growth rate, which was supposed to be at 5%. And that will have enormous impact on the employment, on the poverty in the country. We were already facing very high inflation, partly for 2 reasons. One, because of the IMF program, for which Prime Minister took some very harsh decisions. And also because of the Ukraine crisis that has put a super cycle, shock for the whole country, whole world. So we will have to battle with this high inflation also. So in this backdrop, this center is doing a very important role by coordinating civil, military, federal government, provincial governments' relief, rescue efforts. And we are also working simultaneously to build our next plan to build a more resilient infrastructure. And we hope that with your help, we will be able to mobilize the international community so that they can help us as it has been. And you have been championing. I think I don't need to say anything because the way you have articulated the challenge that Pakistan faces, nobody else can articulate it better. So with your leadership, with your support, we hope that Pakistan will come back. Pakistani nation is a very resilient nation. We have been tested before with many calamities. Each time, Pakistani people have fought back. And with the support of friends like you, we hope that Pakistan will again rebound and it will be back to normal and we will be able to give our people a decent and good quality of life that they deserve.